Okay, we are live. We're a bit late, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one because today we have a good friend of mine, Mr. R, Olly, who is here.
Hi guys. Hi mate. How you going? Thanks
You're
for having
doing?
me.
Are you dead yet?
I'm okay.
Are you?
Well, listen, I'm sleep is sleep is for the weak, they say. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We're all right. We're all right.
You will.
You
You
know more than me, mate. I think you're on what,
will.
4 hours a night, are you? You're
Yeah,
mental.
indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
But
No, it's
yeah,
fun.
mate, it's great to have you. Because I don't know, not sure what I told you, but when we met, it was just like we just get on well. And we talk about your business when we're doing the physio stuff, and you've inspired me, mate, a lot. We talk about a lot of stuff, and then you have got family, you got business to look after as well. You got that. What's that guy's name behind you? I remember he was in that physio room.
Oh, that's Bob. He's kind of half retired now, isn't he? He's looking a bit sad, looking at the wall there. He's in the naughty corner. Do you know what? I woke up in the middle of the night and he was looking at me, so I had to get up and turn him. Yeah,
A
so there's
skeleton.
Bob there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
Bob. So
you know Bob, yeah, you've met him a few times.
yeah, if people are listening, they don't know what we're talking about, they have to check YouTube out because it might be on
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
but
yeah. We've
yeah, they
got
can see
we've
him.
got a skeleton there in the background, so he's my little go-to man when we had the clinic open at the gym.
They
So
can see
yeah,
it. Cool. All right, let's jump into it.
go.
We are going to talk about like one thing you inspire me a lot, mate. It's that you work hard, but I've never seen you like, you just go like, oh, this is tired, this is bad. You're always like have that level of like passion, joy, positivity. So I'll throw you the first question, which is like, how did you do that? How did you keep your joy and passion level up when you're super busy already?
Do you know what? You have to really love what you do. That's the important thing. I find like when I was in uni, and you were kind of going through jobs, I remember I always had like you had to have a goal, you had to have something to be excited about. So I was always like, what am I going to do in my day to just like makes my heart jump a little bit. It makes me go, oh, I've got a real fire in my belly to do that. And even in uni, I always had my little goals. Like I just wanted to go away on a holiday, so I ended up doing just like crazy jobs, and I didn't care what they were. I had like no limits. I was just like, let's just go for it. Let's just try something which is completely out of my comfort zone because I know it's going to get me to that happy point. And there was always that goal. You always had something to work towards. And then it just kind of flowed. You kind of just get into a zone because you just don't even think about it. It was just like you always had that end result. It was always like the focus was there. For me, it was like I needed to go on holiday or I needed to get on this team to make the team. And work didn't feel like work. It just became lifestyle. Um,
Mm,
and then you just kind of develop. You just, I think maybe I don't know if it's my personality, but it's just like you just get excited about things. It's just like it's so clear. It's like I always say you have to have that vision, and it's like that has to look like HD clear. It's just like there, it's in front of you. It's not like I kind of want to do this job, or I kind of really want to achieve this role. It was like I'm going to get this, and it's so clear. I'm like replaying it over and over and over and over in my head, and it's making me excited. And then I'm like, well, then it's easy because then everything I do to get there, I know I'm going to get that end result. Um, so from there, it was just like, it was just go for it. Anything you do, like, from setting up a physio business to working in pro football, you kind of get that vision, um, whether you want to call it the law of attraction or you want to just, call it pure focus and being in the zone. Um, that's up to you. But, for me, it was just like, you kind of become a little bit obsessed, I think is the word.
mm,
You can't stop thinking about it. It's the only thing you can think about. And then it's all fun, then it's the journey with it. Um, and I was never afraid to try something new. I've got a little bit of a motto. I say, rule number one, show up. That's my rule. I try and stick to it because I kind of thought about it and I was like, if you look at anybody who has ever achieved anything, he or she has only achieved it because they've shown up that day. They turned up. You know, look at all the big professional footballers. Look at anyone who's done anything. They had to get out of bed. They had to go to work. They had to do something. That was it. It was to show up. Um, and I would get annoyed with myself if I was being a bit flaky. You know, if like somebody would say, "Let's do something," and then I'd go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, let's do it," and then I would never end up doing it.
Mm.
That would bug me a little bit. So that was kind of like one of my pet peeves, and I would kind of punish myself a little bit for that. So I was like, no, okay, let's develop the habit here. Let's develop that rule, and my rule was show up. So if I say
Mm.
I'm going to do something, I have to try and stick to it. Um, and that was it. Then I kind of just developed the drive, and then you just go with it. You meet people, you do stuff, and it just rolls.
Yeah.
It's flow, it's pure flow. So I don't know.
Nice.
That's me.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same with you guys. Like, I mean, you like saying, I know you're bloody motivated, so you must have that kind of focus. You must love what you do, and you're just like you wake up and you kind of, it's like you kind of breathe it, don't you? You just kind of it's all you can think about.
Mm.
It works out, I guess. Law of attraction, my friend.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sensing a bit of Tim Grover vibe here. Am I right? Are you familiar with Tim Grover?
Tim Grover. The name rings a bell, but I haven't really gone into it too deep. Yeah.
Okay, so he I guess his role is kind of similar to yours, because I'm not sure whether he was from his education, whether he was a physio or chiropractor. I'm not sure, but he was like a personal coach, not only on physical level but also mental level for like top performing basketball players in the United States. Like he started his career by working with Michael Jordan in his early days, and then he then after Jordan, so he helped Jordan achieve what Jordan achieved, like five five times championship. But also then he worked with Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant. So he worked with the top of the top players. Also, he worked with some other amazing people. And yeah, if you are not so familiar with him, I guess his two books. One is Winning, and the other one is what,
Relentless.
Relentless. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I remember his name. I've read Relentless ages ago. It must have been a few
Oh,
years
okay.
ago. And it was only when you were saying the story, I was like, "Why have I heard him?" And I was like, Relentless. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I recognize. Yeah, I all of that. I love. Like any kind of motivational books that you kind of get sucked in, don't you? But
Mm. Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Dan, you got a question?
Because you mentioned about that back in the days you used to be like that you were there to experience different things, you were there to explore, you were there to broaden your let's say perspective. But do you remember, because maybe it was like I don't know, gut feeling that pushed you towards this. But when do you remember the moment, or maybe time of your life when you, let's say, grew up to this self awareness that you are a person that wants more from his life than everyone else, that you want to hustle and you want to be above the average?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And it's when you say it, I can think I can really pinpoint that. I think really when I was in school, we were in a very boys rugby orientated school, and it was very um, you know jock orientated. The bigger you were, the better you were. If you were on the rugby pitch, you're popular and all the rest of it. And when you're growing up, you have to try and find your identity. And um, I struggled to find that identity really in school. Now, my brother, he was the rugby star. He was the year above me, so everyone knew Mike. Mike, and I was Mike's brother. I
Mm.
wasn't Ollie. And then when I left school, I was able to then kind of hit the restart button. So we moved from Ireland, both of us, and to England. And I went to study my original degree in sports rehabilitation up in St Mary's. And I remember just being there, and I was like, this is amazing because I am now me. I'm able to choose what I want to do, who I want to be, um, and trust me, like when I started, I had no confidence. Like step one, classic uni person. I was like, I need to meet girls. I need to learn how to meet girls. So I was reading like Neil Strauss, The Game. Trying to think about how can I, you know, build the confidence to just start talking to people.
Mm.
And then it took like a year or so before like I started getting to it. You join the rugby team, you end up meeting girls, all the rest of it, and then you kind of get into your flow. And then I was like, it was amazing because I was like, I can actually achieve anything if I actually put my mind to it. And Ireland was quite slow. I found it just you try things and nothing really happened. And then when I moved to London, it was just like incredible. It was like everything was just on speed. It was just like you would reach out and you would try something and you'd get
Mm.
results. You would hear back from people, and this is unheard of. Like it's weird. It was like this ability to network with people what just didn't exist.
Mm.
So things just started happening so fast. Like I was meeting people, I was doing things. Um, as a young lad, I ended up auditioning for TV shows like Big Brother and Love Island, and I would go all the way to
You
right
will
up to the top.
you will
Yeah, yeah,
audition for Love Island.
yeah. It's a long story, but basically it started with the Big Brother scenario. And what happened was I went to the auditions because I was like, you know what, I'm up for an adventure. I just want to try something new. I was ready to meet new people because it opens doors, and I was just in this like zone where I was just like, oh, I was just turned full extrovert. I was like, let's just meet people because everyone I meet was an opportunity to do something more.
Mm.
And then when these auditions came up, I went on my own. I just went up to I don't know where it was. It was one of the football stadiums, and that was it. You just auditioned and you came in like loud and leery and gave it everything. And I went all the way. There was a process of like months and months of auditions. Went into hiding, so they were like, "Hey, this is your contract. Signed the contract. Is ready to go in. Everything." But then I told a mate that I was going to go in, and he ended up telling a radio station in Ireland, so I broke the contract, so I got booted out.
Oh, so
Probably
close.
for the best though. Do you know what I mean? Because like you never know like what will happen, and then from there you end up people. So then they ended up like calling us up and trying to get you in other TV shows and all the rest of it. So that was
Mm.
kind of the TV show saga of my life. Um, but it was such an interesting part of my life because it just got me into these zones where I was just meeting people. Wasn't afraid of doing these things. I ended up doing a lot of sports modeling stuff and just
Mm.
going out and just kind of it was so out of the norm of what a normal kind of you know none of my friends would have done any of this. They'd kind of be like, "Wow, why would you do that?" And I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Well, it's just it's exciting," and
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah.
It is like your personality. I know when we long time ago, I can't remember when, but obviously we did it because you were doing my sports massage and all this sort of stuff. And but for people who are listening or watching, they don't know, like Olly's Instagram has got 11,000, 12,000 followers. And I think people just follow because, they just like your personality, right? Like, it's just like, it just shines. And it is great, like when you see people with such high energy and it's just like, yeah, it just
Yeah.
attract people.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I mean, my job is to make people move. That's my job. I need to get people who are low, who are hurt, to get hyper and excited about life. This is my role. So as a physio, like I'm way more than just putting my hands on you, giving you a massage. I'm about trying to encourage you and to try and desensitize your body to this cascade of you know signals which are sending out pain.
Mm,
And to do that, and we know the evidence is all about um, the drivers around and outside of tissue damage. It's anxiety, it's stress, it's beliefs. So when somebody comes in and they're in pain and they believe that they're broken, they're going to experience pain. So my job is to hype them up and to tell them that it's safe to do things. So you know it just becomes normal for me to have that energy. I've got to give that energy to people,
mm.
and I think then I kind of just I kept that. You kind of keep that as well. So yeah,
Mm.
and then I use that. So I use that as a drive if then I want to build my own business or start my next project.
Yeah, cool. And that leads me to my next question. I know we're going to talk about this later, but you do so many stuff. You know, you have your work requires a lot of your energy, your family requires of your energy, you got a little boy as well.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel drained?
Yes, I do. I do. I would be lying if I said I'm Superman. Um, I feel I go through stages. I would go through a massive block, and I was just like, no drain. You know, I feel great, so I'd have to keep going, keep going. But then the problem is when you just try and juggle too many things, external things, especially when they're just a little bit out of your control, and that'll drain you a little bit. So I do work a full time job. I do see private clients in and around that. So there's my full time job Monday to Friday. I do for private clients on a Friday evening and a Saturday morning. Chelsea then would be most Sundays, and then I've got obviously to be a husband to my missus. I've got to be a dad to my little man. I've got to be friends to my mates. I've got to be social, and then if I'm doing, I'm obviously doing other projects, and then you've got to invest your time into that as well. And I got to stay healthy, and I got to keep going gym and stay active for my
Yeah.
head space as well. And the problem is that when I start dropping these balls, then I do start to get a little bit drained, and you do start to get a little bit tired. Um, but what I do is you just have to keep asking yourself, like, what is making you happy? What is making you get excited to get up? And when I start waking up in the morning and I'm like dreading something, then I'm like, okay, I've moved on from that, and you
Mm.
can. It's normal to change and you don't have to feel bad about that. You could have invested a ton of time and energy into something. It could be a project, and a year or two later, you just don't have that excitement for it anymore. Um, but that's natural. People change, people grow.
Mm.
Your focus and your ideas can change. So that's when you then need to start going, oh, well, what do I need to change? Because a lot of the time, feeling of being drained is actually just, being bored as well and being unstimulated, you
Mm.
know? And sometimes when you are stimulated and you love something, no matter how tiring it is, you can just keep going.
Mm.
You can just keep going. Obviously you're tired when you wake up and the usual, and you kind of crack on. And when you do hit the bed finally, you do go, ah. Oh. And I have noticed that I do start to groan a little bit more when I sit down. I do the old when I sit down. And people have gone to work and gone, "You're getting older, aren't you?" I'm like,
Yeah, like, yeah. Once you
yeah,
look at my life, you know why.
yeah. You know it's coming when you start going, oh, when you sit down. That's a
Yeah,
bad sign.
yeah.
Right.
Dan, you got a question?
Uh, I just, you know, it was just in my mind since the start of our broadcast tonight, because like we talked about it briefly before we went live, and I don't know you that well, so I was wondering how, because it's extraordinary when you land a job at one of the biggest clubs in the world, right? So how do you make that happen? Because uh, from from my own experience and from the stories that I've heard before, it's not only about being good as hell. It's also about doing something else, something, let's say, smart, doing smart moves.
Yeah, smart moves is right. It is. You have a very saturated market where you have a lot of physios desperate to get involved in a very small team. Why are they desperate to get involved? Because like you said, it's one of the biggest clubs in the world. You get the opportunity to work with some of the top players in the world. You get to travel around the world, and you get to there's a sense of pride when you do walk with these guys and you wear that kit. Um, you have to be good at what you do, but for me, in my experience, it is networking. Your networking is your net worth. Your net worth is your networking, yeah. And that's where it all just came in. It was all about who I knew. So I worked in Fulham Football Club for 2.5 seasons before I worked in Chelsea, and I only got the job in Fulham because I knew someone who worked there who put in a word for me. and she knew someone who, because she worked in Wimbledon, and she just became mates. And it's this massive ladder of who you know. And if she had never had that job in Wimbledon, then she would have never got the job in Fulham. And if she never had the job in Fulham, I would not have got the job in Fulham. If I didn't have the job in Fulham, I would not have got the job in Chelsea. And because she then moved to Chelsea after, and she knew one of the coaches there. So it is a bit of a click. But that's not a bad thing, because it's like there's no harm in like being social and just dropping a message, or anything, and just going, hey guys, just popping in, just want to say, love what you do. That's all. That's all it takes. Because what you're doing is you're just setting a seed, you're planting a seed there anywhere that this person exists, and that they're just showing face, and then when it does come to the point where down the line they do apply, they'll be like, I recognize that name, I recognize that face from LinkedIn, you know what I mean? And then suddenly there's just this sense of security there. Do you know what I mean? And all you got to do is just keep saying, hi, how you going? Link in, talk. That's it, really. It's just about staying in contact with people, and just like being open. Don't be afraid to, to have a go. Because a lot of people, they'll be afraid to go, you know what, I don't want to try it because I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. You don't even have to ask. It's not even a big, hey, I love your club, can you hire me? It's just, hey, just checking in, how you guys going? That's it, it grows from there. You got to start planting seeds. But it is a massive networking game. Everything is. It's all about who you know. Even just like meeting you today, Dan, it's brilliant, because who knows what'll happen in the future based off this conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is how it works. I could go to Poland one day and go, hey, I'm going to call you up, and then who knows where we'll be. Do you know what I mean? And this is how it works. This is how it worked when I moved to London. I remember I worked as a cheeky butler. That was one of my jobs. So you're going around to parties, with your top off, wearing this little apron. And I remember
Really?
I just had this, yeah. And I remember just having this out of body experience, just going, how am I here in the middle of a club with my top off, with my ass hanging out? This is not normal. But it only happened because I was on Instagram and I chatted to one guy who owned the company, and we just ended up chatting. And he was like, do you want to meet up and earn some money? I was like, whatever, let's do it. And as simple as that, and like life can just take you in any direction, just off just simple conversations. And that was it, really. So I find, it is about being extroverted. It is about kind of just putting yourself out there. Do you ever? It's a bit random. You ever watch that movie? We Built a Zoo, I think it's called. With Matt Damon. Yeah. It's a bit dodgy. But there's one little scene there, and when he talks about when he meets his wife, and he just goes, all it takes is 20 seconds of courage. That's what he says. 20 seconds of courage. And I took that. I was like, that's cool, because it's like you can be scared, you can be stressed, and then you can just take a deep breath, and you can go, for 20 seconds of my life, I'm going to go in my comfort zone, I'm going to be courageous, and just see what happens.
Love that.
And it was cool. Yeah, it really can change you, man. It can change your path massively. Yeah.
Love it. Cool.
Yeah. How I would summarize it, what you just said, because networking is, some people when they learn for the first time about networking, for example, when I learned about networking at the university for the first time, I thought that it's very, let's say, deliberate craft, that you can really think of some strategy and stuff like that. But the thing is that I find networking like there is great amount of luck in networking. But the thing is that people talk about being lucky in business, in life, etc. That's why they are successful. But at the same time, you cannot be lucky if you are not on the field. You mean if you are not on the field playing? If you are on the bench, you will not get lucky. But if you are on the field and you are playing, then you will get lucky. And
number one, show up.
And that's really comes together when it comes to your philosophy and what you did in the past to get to the place where you are today.
Very nice. Very nice. Olly, want to respect your time. Know that we said that we're going to do 20 odd minutes max. Last question for you.
Shoot, man.
What's next?
What's next? There's always something in the pipeline, isn't it?
What's next?
So I think you know what's next because I'm in a project with you, my friend Em and I. So we're working on an NFT project. So we came up with the idea, and straight away I was like, right, I need to get Zayne involved. And this started as a little coffee date where I was like, right, cool, let's talk NFTs. And then a couple of weeks later, it was like, oh, okay, let's talk again. But P.S., I'm thinking of doing something. And then I think the third one was, okay, we've started doing something. And then the fourth one was, saying, please help, because there's lots of people in our Discord now, and I don't know what to do.
But this goes back to what you just said, because I think obviously COVID happened. We sort of we sort of lost touch for a little bit, and then I just started talking about things like on Instagram and whatever, and I just like, oh, we just happen to be in the same sort of like things, experimenting the same thing, and then we just said, you know what, mate, haven't caught up for a long time. Let's just meet up for a coffee. Wasn't expecting anything to happen, but then it turned out to be something, which is exactly what I just said early on.
And it's such a beautiful example of just rule number one: show up. Because I could have just gone, hey man, I haven't talked to you in months. I'm a busy guy. I work 7 days a week. I got family. Let's meet up soon. But I was like, nah, let's just whatever. It's early morning. Let's just grab a coffee. And this is a path now. We've carved an amazing path here where we've got a hugely big business about to blow up. I'm sure of it, and the potential is just enormous. And it's just so exciting because we're now involved in that, and so that's it. It's as simple as that. It's as quick as that, And it was the same even when I met my now wife. It was November night, and I was in uni up in Brunel doing my masters, and it was cold and it was a wet night, and I, to be honest, I didn't want to go out on this date. It was the first date, and I just couldn't be bothered. And my mate was like, just go out, just do it, whatever. And then I went, oh, fine, rule number one, show up, come on. I'm not going to be flaky. You cannot do that. Yeah, let's just play its course. She's now my wife, and I've got a kid. So I couldn't be happier. We're so happy. And it's fun because, this is it. This is life. You just have to go with it. You've got to try things. I think people just need to try and jump in and try. I'd rather try and it just didn't succeed, and I can go, listen, I tried. Definitely.
Amazing. Always a pleasure, mate. Super great to have you, especially when it's a friend. It's really great. And just before I end, as always, I think if people want to hit you up or give you a follow, don't hit him out. Actually, he's super busy. Give him some peace.
You can hit me up, and I will show up. You let me know.
This is your Instagram.
No, thank you. That's me. Yeah.
Go follow Olly. Especially if you're in sports, you need to follow him. He's really good at what he's doing. He looks at my sciatic nerve, so now I'm doing flossing every day.
Yes. How's that feeling? You getting better?
Yes.
So you say yes. Yeah. Good man.
Yes. Yes. Cool. For people who are listening, hope you enjoy it. And then if you do like it, hit a like, hit a subscribe if you enjoy, and also give us a little follow on Instagram. The whole point is a bit like NFT, just to bring like-minded people together. Once we're working hard, we can do it together, right? So,
I love it.
All right.
Brilliant, mate.
Leave you all to it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.